Welcome to the fourth in our series of Transformational Leadership Interviews. Our interviewee today is Mr. Louis Grant. Mr. Grant went to work straight out of high school. He solved a technical problem at home using his initiative, but was rebuffed by his dad for not following his instructions. Recognizing the importance of listening to the ideas of others and allowing them to make a contribution to finding solutions, he took his dad up on the challenge to move out if he was not prepared to do things his way, even if that way was less efficient. This mindset of listening effectively to new ideas, irrespective of the status of the individual presenting the idea, and allowing others to present their ideas without fear, has guided the life and leadership style of this transformational leader. Consequently, after 50 years of excellent service to the tourism and hospitality sector, this phenomenal leader, the then General Manager of Sandals Duns River, received the JHTA Hotelier of the Year Award for 2007. The citation included the following statements. Our winner was considered outstanding in operational management, food and beverage management, and marketing. The assessment was equally positive for supervision of property maintenance, training and motivation of staff, as well as for innovative and creative management. All of us who have worked with Mr. Grant can attest to the truthfulness of this statement. For several years, Mr. Grant worked with the Jamaica Tourist Board Chicago office before returning to accept a job in hotel management as General Manager for Oceana Hotel Kingston, Mallet's Hotel Ocho, Sandals Montego Bay, later the Sandals Duns River Resort, which he opened as a General Manager in 1991. By 1993, he went on to St. Lucia to open a property within the chain there. After establishing a strong foundation, he returned to Jamaica the following year to resume his job as General Manager of Sandals Duns River. He is well known throughout the travel, hospitality, transportation, and tourism sectors as a very talented leader, an astute, innovative hotel manager with skills, talents, and gifts that many would wish they could acquire. Those whom he managed, hosted, or led in his various capacities will attest to the fact that their lives have been transformed through his influence. Mr. Grant started his career in hospitality and tourism as a bar cashier at the Tower Isles Hotel. He then worked his way up through the management ranks and was involved in various areas of travel and tourism, including transportation, destination marketing, and sales. He retired from Sandals in 2013 after spending more than 2 decades transforming each property that was entrusted to him as a manager, mentor, coach, and leader. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Mr. Louis Grant. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have the honor and pleasure of interviewing Mr. Louis Grant, my former General Manager from Sandals Duns River, for our Transformational Leadership Series with Conversations with Colette on YouTube. Good morning, Mr. Grant.
Good morning, Colette.
Thank you for granting this interview. The objectives are...
I call you doctor now, by the way.
No, Colette is fine. The objectives of this interview series are to provide a documented account of how leaders like yourself have achieved success, especially in the Caribbean region. The second objective is to provide a leadership blueprint through a form of indirect mentorship for the development of the next generation of leaders. Sir, your exemplary work has already provided a template for those you have managed and led. You have shown that individuals can start from the base of the organization and move to the top to achieve phenomenal success through hard work, discipline, focus, and integrity in spite of obstacles. Today, we are here to learn from you as you share with us and our viewers for the next 45 to 60 minutes a little of your life story, some of the challenges you've faced, and how you have overcome these challenges to achieve success. In segment 1, we're looking at your life story. In segment 2, we're looking at challenges faced and overcome. In segment 3, we're looking at mentorship. In segment 4, you're going to be telling us about your path to success. In segment 5, we're talking about executive coaching, mentorship, and metrics. In segment 6, we're talking about leadership style. And segment 7 provides a summary of your experience and the advice for today's leaders. So my first question to you, Mr. Grant, please provide a little of your life story from boyhood throughout your professional life to where you are today.
When I was born, my father was a field superintendent in the sugar estate, which is Long Pond Valley Royal Estate in Trelawney. I was born in the house that was given to him by a company to use, which was big, actually. Still there. It's a huge house. My father was a disciplinarian for fun, but basically I got a lot of. But I started boarding out with actually relatives that I found out afterwards, and I'm still finding out people that are here that are relatives of people that stay with me, which I found out later on in life. But my father's half sister.
Wow.
Right? And we didn't know that. I didn't know that all that until much later on in life.
Yeah.
After she passed away. But he kind of guided us, and my father never ever, I would say, he never caught us to be able to beat us when we did things wrong, because he couldn't catch us. He hurt too fast. But we listened. He knew that we knew that if we continued, he would catch us at some point and deal with us. And the other thing, one thing I remember that I did was he asked me to run a wire somewhere to the Delco plant. He wanted to run it a certain way. And when I did it, when I was doing it, I realized it was done faster and shorter distance and less material. So I did it my way. He came and said, it's not how I was doing it, there's nobody better. He said, you know, this way. You think that you're too smart to listen to what I have to say when it is time to leave. So I went upstairs and I packed. Yeah, but so what are you doing? I said, I'm packing. So I had to leave. He said, well, you're going to bed? I packed. And he said, no. But that's the kind of thing that I did that, you know, I had a mind, a lot of this.
Yeah.
So when I was in school, I was leaving after I finished the school certificate. And actually one of the teachers there who I was good at physics and math. And he taught me those things, including P.J. Patterson. Actually, taught me for a year in physics and math before he went to get his scholarship. And this said that by actually going on, I was in school. But my father died after actually in school, so he thought that he said, well, you know, I can help you if it's money and kind of thing. No, I think I kind of learned enough of schoolwork, basically. It doesn't have to get on board and work. But I went around looking for jobs. So I got a kind of a bad report from my headmaster. Because it was in the days when you told a youngster to do something and he didn't do it, you know, a couple of hits, right? And his headmaster would just come there. His wife saw it for a crime. So he told her what was up and headmaster just caned her.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was alright. I had my hand this way. I think it because you didn't know how to cane anybody. Because if you in the middle of the train, I didn't feel anything. I felt like laughing, but I did. But the other fellow who was involved with it, he laughed at him. But he got 6 strokes, I got 4. Anyway, my brother was Jamaica's champion along this from for years. And so this guy assumed that I should be an athlete too. I didn't mind running, but I wasn't into being a star or anything. But although I didn't do a lot of this stuff, but I should have done college then. I wanted to run the relay race in my house. And so I got the places I needed. I went over there and I actually your best runner was the last race.
Yeah.
All best runner was the first race. You can introduce Martin's speed and so on. And the second man, or the third. Second man lost a lot of ground, he was 5 yards behind that. And so I was having to get there in my legs enough to give my own a chance. I actually gained 10 yards in the 110.
Wow, so you were that athletic.
Oh, I was. But I tore my ligament during it. So he gave me a bad report when I was in school. So I had a lot of responsibility, but he was a lot of training. Didn't have much to show for it. But I passed my exam going forward. And then I went out to the first job. The first job I had was in the department in Kingston. And that in 5 days. Because I had an offer to come to Florida at the my sister was working for Alberta. She called my mom, she said, interested? I said, yes, as long as they were what I want. But the job was paying me £3 10 weeks, which I never collected. Because I told the percentage to my mother and mother. The other job was paying me £5 plus accommodation and meals. So I for that and started I worked there for a while. And I started out as a cashier in the bar, and then I kept in the kitchen, cost control, and payroll, which was so a big thing. And then I said, well, then I'm doing all 3 jobs. So I said, well, why don't you give me 1.5 times the pay?
Right.
And I continued doing it. I was working sometimes until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. But in between I stopped some things like this. And then they say they couldn't afford it. And I'm not going to half of what they're paying out. And they said we couldn't afford it. I said, okay, thanks. And I quit.
Yeah.
And I left that and I went to work at Martha's Stores.
Yes.
And I started out as a desk clerk. A number of years, and I left there as the sales manager.
Wow.
And I transferred in Kingston. I sold tickets to England and boats and so on. The all introduced to coming back with all this money. They sold £75 per plane for around 55 boat. And it was so enjoyable to see these people with crenolines going on a plane to England in winter.
Yeah.
Okay, up to reach it.
Yeah.
I ran running to the guy who was when I killed him or something. And he stopped on the road. And I stopped and come lunch one day. Remember when I said, yes, I didn't know it. So he said, pull out a knife or something. I said, come to it. I explained it to him. He really wanted to look at that. I didn't read everything. And I left market. After I was everything, I went to the first place. I worked there for a while, and I went to Chicago. And after Chicago, I brought me back. And started working at the government was taking back the company. So I went to Kingston, reopened the ocean, refurbishing it. And I left there and I said to Harald, I need to get back from Sheraton.
Which is now Mount Palace.
My father was working in Paris. I took it over. And so I did that and then after that I went to English came by.
Then came Sandals.
Then came Sandals. And the rest is really history.
Yes, yes.
manager, I was general manager.
Yes.
Because I was a general manager. And he came there, we went back and forth a bit. And then he started coming to the hotel and see what was going on there. And then he said, I want to work from for sure.
That's what you're doing.
Pay me.
Yes.
And so he did. And I worked there, and everybody said, son, don't do it wrong. But once he got there, was his favorite because that's where he started.
Yes.
And eventually, he asked me to go to the show. And open up the first one out there. And then I came back and
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Grant. And you told us about some of your challenges from boyhood in terms of the headmaster. Didn't give you a good report, but there you are. You went ahead and you got your job. You went through the lines and you found yourself a job that you really enjoyed, and you tried to learn as much as possible and went on until you got to the stage of management. So the question is, please highlight a few of the major academic, social, professional, or other challenges you have faced in life which could have derailed your success. How were you able to overcome those challenges?
I say academics, the thing is, I never went to school for any of these things. It just, I'm in the hospitality business. The hospitality business is a way of life, and it's a way you think about the people that you're looking after. That includes the staff, includes the guests. All these things. And I learned a lot of it, but when I went to Chicago, because I was dealing with the traveling. But the main point is that, a lot of it is really just being able to meet people, talk to them, and be able to leave them thinking, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. And a lot of it is common sense. Sometimes we put up all these things and pretend that you need to have go to college and all that stuff. I don't think so. I don't find it that way at all. I think, to me, those years would have, in my estimation, been wasted. Because we took a number of the people who went for armors and came back. They went to the training there and came back. And in actual fact, a lot of them didn't really know what it was to deal with people. I mean, if you're in the hospitality business, then you're going to set the example and teach people how to deal with people. And I dealt with some of these people. I was very abrupt with some of the people. Basically, when they did things that don't go to their guests, when they did things that were upsetting to the staff. Because, if you don't take up for your staff when somebody is rude to them, they're not going to follow suit. They're going to be rude to all of them. And they have to know that they have to behave themselves. I've had people who have to listen to guests. Go home. And that's all there is to it. I mean, the staff have to know that you're behind them, that you're going to stand up for them if somebody does something to them is wrong. And that's what I did, And I love people. I sometimes said to myself, it would be nice to be able to be on a plane coming in from the United States. And you spend the time on that plane to teach them how to deal with their staff. And that is part of the key to it. They come down to different things still going on in the States today. Black Lives Matter, because the people have not otherwise they have not really learned to live and respect people as people. And so when they came to the hotel, if they went step out of line, I let them know, don't do it. I had one of the first instances I had when I was plant with his Montego, and I was there. I was just doing the day, and I guess he came up to me. And I don't know if he thought because when I was working that, I wasn't his son, so I was a little bit fairer than I'm not fair. I'm not, you know. My mother was Indian, half my father was, half the whole history behind that. So that's not just that. Because I found out a lot. I thought that I was somebody that was this stuff. Where can I go where I don't see this stuff? Where are you from? Man, the plane and leaving tomorrow at 12:25 p.m. So they won't. And I had to deal with some of that. Even up to the last when I was at Sandals Broad Plantation, I guess wanted to move over to Sandals Orchard, and he was fussing a lot because he's a young guy. And I just told the guy to tell him, you know, it's a more expensive thing. But anyway, I let him go. His remark was, I'm too old to remind myself. So when I put the question to the boss, I just went up there and I said, okay, just one day, you don't know where I'm coming from, you don't know where I'm going, you don't know where I'm going. So, you can be telling people things like that. So go back and enjoy yourself. Of course, he worked out how much I never even paid him because it came from head office. I just said, I'm not the time for this guy's rude. You know, and so little things like that, some of the things that happened. I must say it didn't happen that much. But I think a lot depends on your manner, your stature, and how you deliver yourself and how you carry yourself. And that tells them a lot. So some will always try. Never really had much of a problem.
It sounds like you really use professionalism to overcome many of the challenges and a determination to overcome many of the challenges. So that takes us nicely, Mr. Grant, into segment 4, Path to Success. What were your main strategies to achieving success, recognizing that each individual is unique and responds to stimuli in different ways? What advice would you give to someone who desires to achieve your level of success?
Well, it's being reasonable with people, and I'm talking about staff, guests, everybody. You know, I'm not in the business to try and lord it over anybody. I'm there to guide them and to let them know how they should operate. As far as I'm concerned, every member of staff should be a salesperson, and they are a salesperson. Because if they treat the guests well, the guests will come back. So that is part of the key. So I might back staff in certain respects, but I don't back them in every respect, and I don't, I deal with a guest with respect, but I let him know what he did wrong and what he should do if he wants to be around Jamaica and around the staff. If he wants to get good service, what he needs to do. So that's basically what I did, is what I would like to see when I go to a hotel and I'm paying my money. The same thing that you need to give that guest, so he sees that. And it has nothing to do with anything else. It's just being pleasant, helping these people as much as you can, remembering that there are a lot of them strangers in a strange country. How would you like to be trained if you went to their country?
Beautiful. You shared something with me this morning, Mr. Grant, and as I recall, you understood when I worked with Sandals every aspect of the operation. When I spoke with you this morning, I had a better understanding of why you were so competent in so many areas. You said when you worked as a bar cashier, you sought to learn the other aspects of the operation. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that has enhanced your success?
Well, it really started with just being in the bar and obviously making sure that the guests got the service that they wanted. And I also had to make certain that the staff weren't stealing from the guests and padding the checks and so on, and putting in tips when they couldn't pay. I checked all of that. You know. Then I went in the kitchen and basically it was just sitting there and people came by with a tray, see what they'd ordered and what they ordered was fine and so on, and whether it was set up properly, and that was it. I just think it's a matter of how you were brought up, you know, how you were trained at home, and how you applied that training to the relationship. I mean, at one point I said to myself, you know, I would love to be able to be on every single plane coming into Jamaica and talk to the people to explain to them how to enjoy their vacation in Jamaica and tell them what they're to do, what they're not to do, and so on. I mean, I just felt that. I never said it, I never did it, because there was no way of really doing it. But it's something that I felt inside, that if we could get people to understand us, and we understand them, that you couldn't do anything wrong.
Sounds a lot like cultural awareness.
Yeah, and that's really the key to it, is being aware of the needs of a person, what a person wants to do. And I wanted to make sure that this gentleman was there, and that I wanted to know that I was aware of it, and if there was anything that he needed to know.
Excellent. I'm sure that his respect level for you went up, recognizing that you were in fact in control. In fact, control is one of the key functions of management: planning, leading, organizing, and controlling. And you seem to have been able to hone your expertise in all of those areas.
You just need to have the staff behind you regardless, and the only way you're going to have the staff behind you is to treat them with respect.
Yes, sir.
And the respect comes from when they do something like that, they come and say, listen, thank you very much, that's what it's all about.
Yes, wonderful. That takes us nicely, Mr. Grant, in the segment 5 of the interview, executive coaching, metrics, and mentorship. What is your view of coaching and mentorship in 21st century organizations, especially given the demanding nature of executive responsibilities and the focus on using metrics, quantitative and qualitative targets to determine if executives and their teams are performing at the set or desired standard? I remember that at Sandals we used to measure the guest satisfaction surveys, what the guests were saying, TripAdvisor reports and all of that. So what is your view of coaching and mentorship to ensure that people meet the standards that are set?
The staff.
Your management team, your staff. What is your view on coaching and mentorship? Because I know you've coached and mentored quite a number of us.
Yeah, but a lot of it had to do with how I carried myself. And therefore how I expected them to carry themselves. I remember when we opened Dunville, as I said, we brought all the managers from other hotels and so on, not standard hotels. All they brought in people from restaurants, etc. and so on. We feed them and they wrote out what the problems they found and so on. And we discussed with the staff exactly what was said and so on. And they started out the knowledge of what it was expected. I tried to hire people who, in management positions, who understood also how to deal with their staff. Because I don't want to be the one that is just tough to everybody. Go after the staff because they didn't do the staff. But when they come to me, they must realize that this was what I should have done. And now it has come to Mr. Grant. So what are you going to do? Well, I didn't do much. I just talked. I just told him what I expected and what was happening, so I didn't do it. You know, you find out what you're not trying to And it cannot allow people to do what they want to do, but yet, if they come up with a good idea, what they could do, you look at it very carefully, see whether you think it is going to be beneficial to the guests and the company. If you do that, you congratulate them when they do it, and when they don't do it, it's coming. I remember one guy took up a knife at me. Were you there? I don't remember. There was a guy there, a waiter, who did something, and I reprimanded him. And I guess he got upset, and I'm walking into the dining room, and he picked up a knife off the table. Guess in there. He had a knife in his hands, my knife. And I said, come. Put on the knife. Because he didn't know what I was going to do. I just said, come. Because he had a knife like that. If you have a knife like that at me, I'm going to block it. And he didn't even, he just went and left. But then I saw him at Sandals Hotel. But I never told Sandals Hotel. I never said I worked for them. Because they should have found out before. But I think he learned his lesson too anyway. When he realized he was putting his mind down. But it really is a matter of setting an example to the staff, and that there are different examples. So it's just a matter of treating people with respect and letting people know how to enjoy themselves, how to enjoy the country, and for my staff, how to enjoy the guests. So this is it. It has to be like that. It can't be anything else.
So, Mr. Grant, that takes us nicely into segment 5, executive coaching, metrics, and mentorship. What is your view of coaching and mentorship in 21st century organizations, especially given the demanding nature of executive responsibilities and to focus on using metrics, quantitative and qualitative targets to determine if executives and their teams are performing at the set or desired standards?
I've never said this, I really got into it that way. Because I believe it, in general, I don't want to be going into every department and trying to tell them what to do when they have a manager. I don't believe in going above the manager unless the manager is not performing. I just tell them when we have meetings, we talk about what needs to be done, and I expect them to go back and follow through on what we discussed. When I get into the picture, as far as when the person doesn't do what they're supposed to do, then usually they go to HR, maybe report to them, and if they can't get it the way they want it, they bring it to me. But I'm not walking around the place seeing people and do things that are wrong, I correct them. But I'm not around the place working, watching everybody's job so that they plan before. And if I don't see it happening, I'm going to call the manager. And if the manager is not going to do anything about it, then thank you very much. But I've never really had to hire a manager in times I've been there.
One of the questions I want to ask you, Mr. Grant, because I realized that when I was at Sandals, our guest satisfaction scores were always high. How were you able to get your managers at each property you manage to be able to maintain such high standards when we're talking about metrics, quantitative and qualitative targets?
It's actually trying to set the example. I never really, none of them ever really heard me do anything saying to get that was not appropriate.
Yeah.
And I think, there's some people that people pay attention to. I would call it a fear, as much as they realize I'm not a person that's just going to sit there and do whatever they want to do. They know what they have to do. They're paid to do it. Do it. If you don't do it, then you're going to get it.
Thank you very much. That takes us nicely into segment 6. We're almost at the end. Leadership style. What specific strategies and leadership styles have you employed in managing people since your first leadership role? How effective was that strategy? Did you ever have to change that strategy? And how did your team respond?
Not really. It's what I went through before. And realizing that, not everybody has the same goals that maybe I might have. But as long as they are prepared to put out the effort of the work. And also be willing to come and sit in and ask advice, that feed that they need help. I work. I don't even know. I don't know wrong when they had the manual system for payroll. But I'm going back that far now. You got the time card, the timekeeper added up everything, told you how much overtime, basic pay, etc. I had to take that now. And it's a machine, manual machine. I tried to fill in basic pay, overtime pay, quota, tax-free, tax amount, etc., and therefore the final amount. I do that with every single person in your country. You have to read, you have to go to in the tax situation to find out how much tax you have to pay. So it's a book that the tax sent you. You just have to go into it and continue depending on the tax rate, for the earning. And then when you finish with that, have to go through and figure out how many 5 pound notes. I don't know what it is that. I think I don't know pound. Pound, 10 shillings, 5 shillings, 2 shillings, 1 shilling. That you needed for every single soul. Because have to go to the bank. The amount of 5 pounds, this is 1 pound note that you needed. 10 shillings. Go through every single person. Okay? And then when you did that and you added it up, you have to go to the bank now and say, I need total of this, but I need so many £1 notes, so many of this, so many of that, and so on. So that you have the exact amount of money to put in the people's pay packet, which is an envelope. A lot of work. So then you come back now and you have to start putting everybody's pay packet. You better not be wrong. A lot of work. A lot of work. Wow. So.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. So, Mr. Grant, this takes us nicely into segment 7.
Everything is fine. Everyone is fine.
So we're looking at a summary of your experiences and your advice for today's leaders. This segment seeks to summarize your experiences and life in leadership. What advice would you give to current and aspiring leaders who desire to become as successful as you are? What would you say were the high points in your career?
I never thought of it that way. I just did what I enjoyed.
Yeah.
I enjoyed people.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed people of all races, all standards. I mean, I can sit down and talk to the gardener,
Yeah.
if he is a good gardener. If I can't get him to understand, then we have a little problem. But basically, I had a man who used to sleep most of the time. but he was here from, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. And he slept half of that time, but, but he had a certain way about it. It was fun. It was, no, I'm just saying, all I can say to people is, look, yes, you're here to work, but you can work and enjoy yourself. As long as you don't go and mess around with people you shouldn't be messing around with. I mean, sometimes you have a couple of only resort. It's a totally different thing from a regular resort. Couples only, you have to realize that two of them are couples, regardless of what happens. Whether they're having problems or not, it's none of your business at that time. Leave them alone. Right? Now because she starts coming on to you, you're going to jump in there and start going on and inviting her out and all that. You do that, you're being ridiculous. Right. The man's wife is in there. Bye. Some people, especially the Jamaican man, a lot of times, think that it's great to take away a man's wife when he's going on vacation. No, you've lost 2 people. He will never come back there again. She might come back there, but she's not going to stay there because she can't, especially with a couple and she can't come here. And therefore, you're going to have to find a place where to stay when she comes next time. But if I find out that you're doing that, then it's time for you to go. Or work in a single hotel. You get yourself in trouble there. But,
in terms of managing people, what would be your recommendation for current and aspiring leaders? Because you were a very effective manager. What would be your recommendation for persons who are managing people with different personality styles? Some who may be challenging. What would you recommend that they do?
Most people have a different style, and sometimes it's what works for you. But you also have to realize when it doesn't work for you, and change your style, or look at what other people are doing, and see if that style, helps you. And some people are just born with that kind of personality. As long as I live, I'll never forget 2 people. One is Marsha Ann Brown. I went to interview Marsha in the church office. He wasn't there. He was working in Florida and going to move back because he was husband and so on. And she walked through that door, and it's about from here to maybe the 3rd opening on that side of that wall. Somewhere, I think. Before she got halfway to me, she had the job. It's a matter of personality. Where are you putting the person? What you need the person to do, and whether that person has that person to deal with an aura. And she hasn't stopped from the day that she came here. She came with it. Yeah. I didn't do anything for her other than to say, listen, the job is yours. Yeah. Take it and run with it. I left people, and in a lot of cases, to do what they are good at. But in her particular case, she had the experience before. She used to work in a hotel in Florida, in sales. So she came with it. But then the other person that I said it to some people in training. There's a gentleman, and I left the hotel business for his and went to sell mutual funds, and I just failed at it. Prior to my leaving the hotel and doing it on the side for a day, I was doing a hell of a job. Then I left, and now I'm totally dependent on this job. And it's a different headset. It's a different, because basically, you're now realizing if you don't do the sales in there, you're not going to put any money in your pocket. Whereas before, I would do it on my days off, and I'd sell more than I sold when I gave it a full job. I went broke. I lived well. I had a Mercedes. I didn't sell it. I sold that one, and I traded it with my brother basically, who had one, but the older one, and I took his own. Because now I'm in prison, I can't afford to pay the payments and so on. The bank took me to, sent me a thing basically that I owed this money and then to get the money. So I went to my brother and I made that deal with my brother and I said, I went to him before and I said, look, I owe a number of people no money. I owe you money. Can I put everything together and pay off these people because they're the small people? And you're the big person, so you put it and I'll pay so much a month. The man said, no, it's a Canadian guy. And I said, oh, okay. He took me to court. He sent a man to the summons to take to the court. That week I went to my brother's and made the shop and things like that, and he sued him for £1,999, okay? I owed more than that. I went to a bank, my brother's bank in Manchester, and I got the money that same week, paid him off, paid off the other people. And he sends me, I think, to go to court for the balance, because I owed him more than he said I owed him, but it was £1,999. Anything over that had to go to the Supreme Court, which would take 3 years to do. So he stopped at one in 1999. So I made sure to give him his $19.99. And I put in full payment of the agreed amount that I owed. He tried to do, and he sent the rest to me, and I said, I'm going to jump in the lake. This is what you told me that I owed on this date. This is what I paid on this date.
How were you able to recover from that indebtedness at that time?
Oh, I just went back to work. I was selling things and then I realized that I wasn't making it. Because there's a difference when you're trying to sell something like that to a person and you become totally dependent on that money coming in. And you thought it was going to come because you had this job and then you had this day that I used to be able to sell and make more than I was making in my job. So I just went out and looked for another job. Coaching people is one thing, but do you find somebody who is willing to learn?
Yes.
And you then try to get that person to follow the guidelines that are necessary.
Yeah.
Because how I relate to people, how the other person is going to relate to people. But that doesn't mean that he has not done something wrong to that. When we started with the store,
Yeah.
I mean, here's the done. Family didn't really have any money. And he decided to go to bank. And his way of doing things was that he did a lot of things himself. When he sold you something there and something went wrong with it, he not only tried to personally go there and do it, he just wanted to give him some book on it, sort out the money before he go there. And he had people work for him. That's what they did. They went out and did all the things that he wanted. So he built himself up over a then he needed to get money to pay for the budget he's bringing from overseas with the air conditioners and the things and so on. And friend of his apparently told him, buy a hotel. Get the US dollar. Which he did with Montego Bay, which was pretty much a rundown hotel. He turned around and he rebuilt it and started using it. I mean, it takes a lot of money. There are a lot of people who that helped him. And he there with them. The goals that meant he go. And he worked hard. He did things that some people really didn't like. But there's something that was going to make sure he accomplished what he needed to practice. He would do it. He spent the time to do work and he would talk to himself. He did what a lot of people never believe. Basically nothing.
Yes. He was on service.
His father had a radio shop.
Yes.
He worked, talked, did that, he has a lot of guys.
You learned a lot from him. And look at Sandals today.
Mannerism and so on. Not as regular life, but he has a way of it. Made them realize he was he helped me he kept me calm. And I now been my opinion. And he advised me. Somebody if I had a problem, I could sit down and talk to him. And that way he was there. As a matter of fact, we talked to him yesterday.
Yes.
And I could look to him and say, you know. And just about the things in general, life in general, and what is happening. It's really just appreciating people. And people appreciating you. You can get people to appreciate you and you appreciate them and you learn from them and they can learn from you.
Yes.
That's the main thing.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Grant. Just listening to you talking about Mr. Gordon Wood Stewart, the Honorable Gordon Wood Stewart, and Mr. Merrick Frey, I believe I'd love to interview them for this Transformational Leadership Series. Mr. Grant, I am aware that you received the Order of Distinction from the Government of Jamaica. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'm very happy that I was recognized. But there are people that have helped me in that situation. And I mean, I can only comment on, some of the people basically. And one of the people in particular who is still doing it and still working in the industry is a lady by the name of Lindsay Islands, who helped the hospital. She would Christmas to the children. She would take doctors, she'd come visit doctors and some of the nurses to go with her to different areas in the hills where they had some of them that never even seen a doctor, and to check the people to make sure that they're well and what they need and so on. And she did this with a lot of dedication, and she got all the doctors and people to love her to to be able to get them to do it for free.
Wonderful.
So she's a person that has put me in that kind of position too.
Wonderful.
It's not something that I have done by myself.
Yes.
It's been done by the people that work for me.
Yes. That's one of the things I really admire about you, Mr. Grant, because although you have achieved so much and you were just such a firm leader when you managed us, is you're always so humble in terms of the accolades that you receive and ensuring that persons who contributed to your success are mentioned, and I really appreciate that. Mr. Grant, thank you so very much for granting this interview this afternoon. We are grateful for the lessons that you have shared. We are thankful for the service that you have given to our beautiful island of Jamaica, particularly in travel, transportation, and tourism, through the various roles that you have played in the hospitality and tourism sector. You were selected to participate in this interview because you are one of Jamaica's outstanding icons who have held up high standards of integrity and excellence for the current and future generation of leaders. The challenges posed by this COVID pandemic has caused many people to become discouraged and doubtful about their ability to survive and thrive. This interview series serves to bring hope to the current and future generation of leaders who may not have faced severe challenges of the magnitude that you and others interviewed have faced. We want them to know that challenges like this pandemic we are facing can and will be overcome by the strategies that you and others have shared. We invite our viewers to subscribe, respond, comment, like, and share this interview with others who may benefit from this. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless our beautiful island of Jamaica. Mr. Grant, I thank you.